Moving beyond small self, the path of third person. We've talked about first person, I am, and the path to first person realization, to first person sanity. How I travel the first person I am path to realize my sanity, to realize the true nature of reality. We've talked about second person prayer to the divine in other, right? Second person prayer to the personal face of being that knows my name. And we're going to talk now for a moment about third person. What's the path of third person? And the path of third person is the path of wonder, utter and absolute wonder, in which I engage not in a human face-to-face relationship, not in a dialogue, right? Not in a place in which, right, there's a conversation that takes place. It's not about the path of conversation. It's about the path of awe and the path of wonder, where I step back and I allow myself, right, to be overwhelmed by the full and infinite wonder, texture, beauty, complexity, infinity of all that is. There's a great little short movie called 10, which you have a couple laying, in a park, and you take a look at the couple, and they seem to be a couple laying in a park having a nice afternoon. And then we expand 10 powers, 10 squared, 10 squared again, right? Farther and farther and farther into the galaxy. And we reach from this couple, and we get a larger perspective, 10 up, then 10 squared up, then 10 squared up again. And we reach the infinite vastness and complexity of all of the galaxies and infinite galaxies to the end of the reach, right, of human grasping, right, of human reaching beyond which we can't even reach. And we set them in this large context. And then the camera shifts and goes inside. We go 10 times down, right, back to the couple, and then we go into the couple, right, into the skin, right, into the man's skin, particularly on his hand, and we go in 10 powers. 10 powers again, 10 squared as it were, right, again. And we go in and in and in and in and in, right, into his organ and into the cell and deeper into the cell. And you realize that actually going inside and then expanding, there's this huge expanse. And you finish this little short film and you're like, wow, your entire mind has been shifted and expanded when you realize that the small self is just this external signifier, this signpost. We're living in it, but actually there's infinite depth within us, and there's infinite depth, the context in which we live, right? And those two frames of infinity, which actually hold us, right? Wow, that's third person. Third person is when I go to Yosemite National Park and I sit and I watch a waterfall, right? And I see it and I'm like, oh my God. When I see a deer and I see the deer that's beyond me, and I just kind of see the deer and I'm just completely blown away, right, by the animalness of the deer and the just infinite wonder that lives as deer. And I bow before it. When I enter into physics and quantum physics and the mathematics that governs it, right, and I see the infinite and gorgeous complexity, right, of the mathematical constructs which live as reality, and I say, oh my God, like beyond of the beyond. When I enter into the great dharmas, the great systems of knowing, whether it's systems theory in all of its forms, whether it's the psychologies, whether it's the dharmas of spirit, and I begin to see the infinite and vast interconnecting pieces of knowing that form, right, this meshwork of awesome wonder and beauty. And I say, wow, oh my God, right? That wonder before which I bow and which raises me up in utter delight, right? That's God in the third person. That's the path of third person. It's the path of study. I study reality. I examine reality, right? But not as large me, but actually large me gets very, very, very quiet and gentle and still and begins to praise. That's where praise comes from. The intuition to praise, right? To cry out in gratitude, right? And wonder, right? I asked for wonder, right? The radical amazement, through which I approach and engage world, right? That is the path of third person. If you want to be sane, you need to know your context. You need to live in the context that you are. That's the great postmodern intuition, that we live in a context, right? To know my context, whether it's the interior that I access through any point in my body, through powers of 10, whether it's the vast exterior, or whether I access my context in time. I go back 13.8 billion years and I trace from the Big Bang, right, the evolutionary path that led directly through 13.8 billion years, that led directly to create, to evolve, to produce me. 13.8 billion years. Intersection upon intersection. Apparent coincidence after apparent coincidence. Right? This throbbing, pulsating, knowing universe that moved in this evolutionary trajectory for billions of years in order to create me. So I expand my context through evolution, and I begin to realize myself as living in this vast evolutionary context of past, moving towards an evolutionary future, which bisects in the evolutionary present, in which I become the fully alive actor that influences all that is. Right? That third person expansion, right, is the third path of moving beyond small self. It opens me up to sanity, right, to the true nature of all that is. A genuine practice of world spirituality needs to access the exquisite feeling tones of first person, be they bliss or even, and sometimes participating, right, as I am in the suffering of all that is. I participate as I am in all that is, in bliss and in suffering. The path of second person, which is the path of love, of face to face, I'm expanded through meeting the infinite other. The path of third person, the path of awe and wonder. Each of these creates the sanity which makes me into the most alive, powerful, in the most gorgeous sense of infinitely powerful, participating in the power of all that is human being, who acts in the world with wisdom, with clarity, with precision, with rigor, with utter joy and delight, and creates a world, the only world that we all want, need, and deserve to live in.